Hi everyone, welcome to Cooking with Artists. My name is Mina Stone. I'm the chef and owner of Mina's restaurant at MoMA PS1. I wanted to interview different artists and have them share something personal about cooking and food from their world. My hope is that it shines a light on the essence of who they are, their work, and hopefully who we are as a society.
Hi, my name is Hugh Hayden. I'm an artist. I make sculptures, but also I make culinary installations. And a lot of my sculptures utilize natural materials, like primarily wood. And it's really important to me, sort of the material history of the wood, where it comes from. It's like cultural sort of significance, social implications in wood. A lot of the wood I've actually cut down myself, going to the US-Mexico border to collect a wood called Texas ebony that is sort of my identity in wood. I'm from Dallas, or a piece of mesquite that is this wood that is does well in limited water resources, but it's simultaneously considered invasive and like sort of unwanted and a weed, and sort of how wood can have these sort of cultural implications that might be applied to a body, but and so this more, sort of material history of the wood can be sort of a stand-in for a person almost, whether it's a picnic table or a kitchen table. It sort of creates these unusable surfaces. So like a kitchen table based off of my childhood kitchen table that's, it's impossible to sit down on because it's covered in thorns. And it's sort of this commentary on the inaccessibility of the American dream. But also it's a table, like also these picnic tables that are challenging to sit at. It's possible to sit on, but it's sort of uncomfortable, and it sort of mimics this notion of um, sort of the difficulty in sort of socializing and interacting with people. But also with a table as this no idea of a communal space that brings people together to share a meal. I love to eat, and like, um, in terms of thinking of food, like I think food was always kind of pretty important in our household. We always went to church on Sundays, and like we wouldn't come home and like cook, or my mom wouldn't cook on a Sunday, but typically we would go to this a cafeteria, which is like a certain type of Southern style restaurant where there's like this long steam plate buffet with, you start in the salad section and you got to get in a long line. It seemed like when I was little, oh gosh, it would take 30 minutes to line out the door, because after, when all the churches get out, people would go to these cafeterias like Wyatt's or Luby's or Piccadilly's. You could get a whole meal. You'd start with like the salads, then
Mhm.
go into like your sides and your entree. Um, and then like a dessert and rolls and like, or bread, and then a beverage. They would have, fried catfish or cod or chicken fried steak, but also like a broiled chicken. And also, because a lot of people with like diabetics in Texas, they would have a lot of sugar free or baked or like steamed broccoli. But you could also get, my brother would always get the steamed broccoli, but with like the cheese poured on it, like a type of
Mhm.
Velveeta sort of thing, or mashed potatoes and gravy. So there's always this like opportunity to be healthy, but then like a consciousness to make it unhealthy. But so I would say I always remember going to that, and also like all of our houses have had two tables. Like we've had like the Nook, which was the more everyday place that was directly attached. Well, they were both, I guess, adjacent to the kitchen, but the Nook was the more everyday space of like the communal area of the house, of like where people come over, they sit at that table, because it was also just in the architectural design of the house. It was always kind of a central spot. Um, but like our some of the earliest memories, like more in a home, around food, were actually with at my grandparents' house. So like this is also kind of going back to this like dream phase of
Mhm.
before my mom's sister got divorced. So before then, when everyone was still together and we had this huge family, we would always like, every big holiday, we went to Shreveport, Louisiana, where my mom is from, and that our whole family and their whole family, like the four grandkids and then the two sisters and their husbands would all go to my grandparents' house, where we always have a huge meal at their dining room table, like a long rectilinear table with my grandmother and my grandfather on both ends. So this is also when my grandfather was still alive before he died, and so I guess there were a lot of that was the most really formal meal we'd have around every holiday, but where everyone we would drive, 3.5 hours to Shreveport to go have this like these like formal meals where we would have different dishes, and like a fruit ambrosia. I never liked that. I hated it had shredded coconut on it, and I would like pick around. I mean, that was like an earlier part of my like formative years, but still that was this idea of like that's having this whole family together. Yeah, that's like this really nostalgic idea of like having like all these people together who are like important to like your view of the world coming together around food. And that's like Thanksgiving or Christmas, these like very American, like Western traditions. A lot of my like food things have been like trying something or having a version of it and then remixing it and trying to remake it. I think I do in my art per se too. I like the idea of this idea of remixing art history or like just like things around us. One of the things I like about cooking, and and even with whether it's these culinary installations or these uh, sculptures of like tables per se, places you eat, is that food is sustenance, and so that everyone has to eat, unless they're sort of on an IV or something. But like it's a sort of this sort of like thing that everyone can relate to. As this like form of sustenance and a way of bringing people together, and often people's guard is like down when they're eating, and sort of in this like sort of like using that as a space to explore sort of social interactions. I think um, eh, yeah, that's one of my interests in it, because it's sort of part of living, like, and it's like what could be more. I mean, it's very intimate, and you're like taking something into your body. So I would say my cornbread pudding is like my signature dish that like if I was known for one like food item, it's that. It's like a real crowd pleaser. It starts with a box of Jiffy cornbread, but that's not enough. It's like it has egg in it, but it has like softened butter. You add sugar. It has creamed corn in it. It has whole corn kernels as well as sour cream. So it creates this like really dense, buttery sweet because I add dried cranberries to it. And that's actually one of the things I like the most about it, because it actually coming full circle, the taste reminds me or distills this notion of Thanksgiving, of like having stuffing with the turkey with cranberry jelly. And and it's that those sort of bready corn flavor mixed with the cranberries, to me, that is this like flavor combination similar to like peanut butter and jelly, that I think the dried cranberries really add this other element to it that's often unexpected. But at the same time, you can like not put the cranberries in and add in like, bacon and cheddar cheese, or like caramelized onions or jalapenos to get like a more savory wrap.